And welcome back to another episode of Round 2 Wrestling. This is our second episode, and we are proud to continue this particular podcast. We have received great reviews and many views on our YouTube channel and on Spreaker.com. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Round 2 Wrestling. We have a lot to talk about this week, so let's jump right into it. First of all, let's talk about rumors in the world of professional wrestling. Rumors in the world of professional wrestling are always compelling and interesting because you never know if they're true or not. Sort of like the NBA rumor mill. Those that are in the NFL, those are pretty predictable and always seem to get leaked out pretty early, and sources are confirmed and destinations are confirmed. But when it comes to the world of pro wrestling, literally anything is possible. And this past week has shown that a lot is possible. So we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to kick off this edition of Round 2 Wrestling with our rumors section. Rumor has it that Jurassic Express, the new AEW Tag Team Champions, are set to drop their name and release Marco Stunt from the group. Hence why they are dropping the name Jurassic Express and will now be called Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Marco Stunt is not yet to be dropped from the company immediately, but more as to when his contract expires, it looks like AEW will not be renewing it. This is kind of sad. Marco Stunt is kind of a fun figure, fun guy to pair with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, but his small stature and size makes him a complete mismatch for almost anybody and everybody. So happy sailing and well wishes to Marco Stunt when his contract expires. But in the meantime, I hope he has a decent run on Dark Elevation, and any other AEW program that they decide to throw him on. Yet another rumor in the world of professional wrestling. WWE women's wrestler Sasha Banks is set to miss 6 to 8 weeks due to an injury, and this injury would remove her from the Women's Royal Rumble in 2022. This injury is a foot injury being reported, nothing broken and no surgery required, but still 6 to 8 weeks is a decent amount of time for any wrestler to sit on the sidelines, especially one with WWE, when the beginning of the year, January, February, and March, are some of the busiest and most profitable times to be a member of that particular company. So hopefully Sasha Banks is able to get up and on her feet quicker rather than later, maybe miss the Royal Rumble, but maybe get into a WrestleMania match later on this year. Sources also indicate WWE will try to open a quote-unquote forbidden door entrant to the Royal Rumble. Sources initially said that this could be New Japan Pro Wrestling, since other companies similar or like AEW have been kicking open said forbidden door. However, just a few hours ago on social media, AEW and WWE fan pages, info pages, and rumor pages were absolutely blowing up on Facebook, saying that the forbidden door being kicked open will pertain to the Royal Rumble and doesn't necessarily mean a New Japan Pro Wrestling entrant. The sources and sources close to both companies seem to indicate that the forbidden door that will be kicked open will be an AEW entrant into the WWE's Royal Rumble. The two names that were being kicked around most seriously were Chris Jericho and Marco Stunt. Chris Jericho would make sense since he is a former WWE World Champion and was one of the first big-time wrestlers to make the jump from WCW to WWE back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Marco Stunt would also be a good fit for this Royal Rumble, not because of his size, stature, or his ability to wrestle, but it would be an indication that maybe WWE is interested in picking up Stunt's contract and pairing him with somebody else within the company. But only time will tell. So be sure to tune in for this month's WWE pay-per-view Royal Rumble to see what, if any, of these rumors may or may not be true. Our final rumor before we move on to our next category is independent and Impact veteran wrestler Petey Williams has been signed to WWE, as a producer. former producer Jimmy Yang has been released by WWE. Petey Williams was a wrestler that I grew up watching here in the greater Michigan area in the early 2000s, and I believe was the innovator of the move known as the Canadian Destroyer. This guy is incredibly creative. He isn't much older than I am, so this is a great signing for WWE. Sort of a bummer for Impact, Ring of Honor, and AEW, where I would really have liked to have seen this guy go and flourish and maybe get a world title shot or substantial mid-card title run, but that doesn't look like with him now signing with WWE. That concludes our rumors section of Round 2 Wrestling. If you knew of anything or know of anything, please contact me on Spreaker.com or leave a comment on YouTube.com, and we'll investigate these rumors together in the world of professional wrestling. Speaking of professional wrestling, we have some results from this past week, and we will go over those right now. Braun Breaker won the NXT title on the 5th last week, which is good news for WWE and NXT. He seems to be a strong champion. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this guy and if they push him to the main roster on WWE. New AEW Tag Team Champions. That's right, I already said it earlier in the podcast, but if you missed Dynamite last week, not only did you miss the debut of Dynamite on TBS, but you missed 2 title matches. Bryan Danielson versus the champion Hangman Adam Page 2, and the Tag Team Championship featuring then-champion Lucha Bros against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. This was an excellent match. It was the main event of Dynamite that saw Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus win the tag team titles. A scary moment for Lucha Brothers. Rey Fenix landing awkwardly on his arm and hand during a choke slam by Luchasaurus from the ring through a table. However, sources have confirmed that he is injured, but his arm isn't broken. So good news for Rey Fenix and the Lucha Brothers. Congratulations to the new tag team champions in AEW. Hopefully the former Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, have a long and prosperous run as the company's champions. Speaking of champions, the rematch, like I was talking about earlier, Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Adam Page 2, also took place on AEW Dynamite. Adam Page defeated Bryan Danielson in this highly anticipated title rematch. The use of the 3 judges at ringside were not needed, as the champion Adam Page was able to pin the challenger Bryan Danielson around the 30-minute mark. An excellent match that lived up to the hype pretty closely, but was nowhere near as good as the original 1-hour draw a week before, or 2 weeks before, on AEW Winter is Coming. Impact World Champion Moose defeated Matt Cardona and William Morrissey this past weekend. This is a great move by Impact. Moose is an extremely strong champion that represents Impact very well, and I was hoping for a crossover match between the Impact and AEW champion late last year. That didn't happen. However, nothing can be ruled out as of yet. So, hopefully we will see Moose defend his Impact World Championship again, but this time against a AEW challenger. Moving on to the rankings section of Round 2 Wrestling, 2022 brought a reset in the AEW ranking systems, so official results will start to be broadcast on Round 2 Wrestling next week. It's very difficult to say who's number 1, who's number 2, when the majority of the wrestlers in the company only have 1 or 2 matches under their belt. So right now, the race is wide open for the Women Tag Team, TNT, and AEW World Championship. We will have more on the rankings in our next broadcast. The news section of Round 2 Wrestling is packed full of information, and we will try to get through it as quickly as possible. Nick Aldis signed an NWA extension. This is excellent news for NWA, and this news was released on the 5th last week. Hiroshi Tanahashi wins the IWGP US title, defeating champion Kenta at New Japan Pro Wrestling Kingdom 16. This was a 3-night event at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. If you can check out any of these matches online on YouTube or through the New Japan channel, please go and watch these. Some of these matches are extremely entertaining, especially the one with Jeff Cobb. Roman Reigns was medically cleared from COVID-19 and will return to the WWE ring. However, a set date has not been announced. Keeping with WWE, WWE releases Samoa Joe for the second time in 9 months. If you are familiar with Samoa Joe, his history with concussions is a long one, and his active time in the ring in WWE was terminated. However, 9 months ago, after they released Samoa Joe, WWE promptly re-signed him to a productive /GM role. However, this is not panned out for Samoa Joe or WWE, hence his release. Will another company jump on this and try to grab him, or will his history of concussions keep other promotions from snagging up this former world champion? Again, staying with WWE news, it has been announced that Johnny Knoxville, the Jackass star and Jackass Forever movie producer, qualified for the Royal Rumble in 22. So it'll be interesting to see who beats the shit out of Johnny in the Royal Rumble, or if he can hold his own. My guess is he lasts all of 10 seconds and then is eliminated from the Rumble. Our match of the week is a throwback. You got to go back to 2002 to see this title match. Challenger William Regal faced then European champion Jeff Hardy in what would be the final defense of the European title. Hardy retained this title in this final fight against William Regal, and then a few weeks later, the Intercontinental Champion Rob Van Dam had the title unified with the European title on a episode airing July 2nd, 2002. The IC champion Rob Van Dam would win that match, and the European title would go by the wayside. Where was this particular match? Detroit, Michigan. The venue, Joe Louis Arena. The pay-per-view, Vengeance. An excellent all-around pay-per-view. Again, if you are signed up to any sort of network or have some sort of ability to go back and see this match, I would take the time to do so. It is our match of the week. Our Michigan wrestling highlight and final thing here on Round 2 Wrestling is Metro Pro Wrestling out of Southgate, Michigan. It has been around and bringing you the best in pro wrestling since 1995. Pro Wrestling Lunchroom has aired on YN.Public TV as the flagship show for MPW for years. Current NPW champion top-notch Jason Hotch is set to face Motor City Machine Gun Alex Shelley for the MPW championship at New Year's Knockout Saturday, January 22nd. So if you are in the Michigan area and are in the Southgate area, to be more specific, take some time and check out Metro Pro Wrestling of Southgate, Michigan. That is all for Round 2 Wrestling. I thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. Be sure to check out our new podcast next week, where we will bring you more news, rumors, and updates from the world of professional wrestling. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to having you again. This has been a presentation of Round 2 Wrestling, brought to you by Spreaker.com and Slim the Kid.